Okay, so I've got an interesting clutch of eggs here. This is a Pastel pied, owned by Matt Horton, and I've put it to one of my Enchi Pastel Scaleless heads. So this could be an interesting clutch. We did get 3 eggs out of her. The other pied, I think, is her sister. Unfortunately, only one of those was fertile, and pretty rubbish, really. This girl looks like she's done us a really nice clutch. So this looks to me, if I can get it off, there's some proper boobs there. She's nice and empty. Looks to me like she's done us a nice clutch of eggs. I'm not going to pull these apart because these ones are very well stuck together. This is my 3rd clutch on the trot without any boobs, without any slugs. So I'm hoping maybe that's over. There's quite a big patch on this one. I don't really like doing that, but I prefer to incubate them like this so they don't go into each other when they're pipping. Actually, I'm going to leave them. There's too much on there. So there we go. Nice clutch on the ground. 6 eggs. Hopefully they'll do better than the last clutch did. Hi guys, I've got a clutch to show you. I've mated a Pastel Enchi Scaleless head to a pied, and I've the same boy to a Pastel pied. Well, the one to the pied a few weeks ago hatched. We had I had 2 good eggs out of the clutch. It was a rubbish clutch, really. 1 egg went down, so I only had the 1 egg left, and that egg actually produced an Enchi pied. So obviously, without realizing it, my Scaleless head is het pied. So this clutch was an anticipated one that's coming, but it's much more anticipated now because now that I know that the other one produced a pied. Both of these girls are youngsters. Neither of them have been bred before. It can't be retained sperm. There's no chance of that. Cannot be parthenogenesis because there's an Enchi in the pied and there was no Enchi in the mum. So I'm 100% certain, he says, that my Scaleless head is het pied. So the second clutch, there were 6 eggs, I think, and I think there's 4 or 5 left. I think at least one of them's gone off. I'll have a look in a sec, and you'll see in a sec. And there's a couple of amazing looking heads sticking out. I'm just hoping that if I am right and that boy is het pied, that I could actually produce a nice Scaleless head pied. So without further ado, I'm going to cut the clutch because they are pipping, and they're ready to come out. They're about 2 days early. It's the 18th of October today, and I had them down to come out for the 20th. So they're a couple of days early. So without further ado, let's cut these eggs and see what's in them. Okay, so this is the clutch in question. As you can see, there were 5 eggs left. There's a couple of animals pipping. Did have 1 other egg in there, and that went mouldy, so I've thrown it away. You can see where the mould was on here. Didn't affect the other 2 eggs around it, and the boob egg has got some serious mould growing on the end of it. I'll leave that one till last, and with that amazing head sticking out of it. I'm just going to lift that box up to the camera. Look at that head. I'm guessing that could be a super pastel, and it looks like Scaleless head, but Scaleless head's really hard to spot on a baby this small. I usually use a magnifying glass to identify them once they're out of the egg. So we'll have a look at that one once it's out in a week's time, I guess. So this one here, I'm just going to move all my stuff over slightly. This one's had its head sticking out. Couldn't work out from looking at it what it was, so there we are. So that looks to me like an Enchi. I can't see Scaleless head on that. In fact, I'd say definitely not Scaleless head. It'd be probably fairly obvious. It usually is on the Enchis. So that's just an Enchi 100% het pied. Fairly sure. I may change my mind as I usually do on my videos, but on the Enchis, every Enchi scaleless head I've hatched so far, you could see the scaleless head on them quite easily. So this one's still quite turgid and it hasn't pipped yet. But, we shall go in and have a look because the others have. Okay, and here we have, ooh, I would say, yep, a pastel Enchi. Can't really see the head to tell if it's a scaleless head. Don't really want to pull it out. Oh, yep. So in the middle of there, if you look at the nose carefully, you'll see a white line down the middle. That's usually an indicator there's going to be scaleless head in there. So I think that's probably an Enchi pastel scaleless head. There you go. You can see the head better now. Look at that. Yeah, I'm thinking that one's going to be a scaleless head, but we'll see in a week's time when it's shed off. Or once it's come out and then it's shed off. So this is another big fat turgid egg. I am actually starting to incubate my eggs on the light diffusers now, after losing that clutch a few weeks ago. I did try them in the past, didn't have a lot of success with them, but I'm going back and giving it another go. I can't tolerate losing a whole clutch of babies. It was just terrible. So that looks like a super pastel Enchi scaleless head. Certainly looks like a scaleless head, but again, I can't really confirm until they've shed off. They're really hard to see sometimes. I'd say a super pastel Enchi. It's definitely got the Enchi head stamp, and it's very bright, it's very blushed out. Absolutely beautiful animal. So let's do this great big one that had the mouldy one attached to it. So I'm not getting a lot of bleeding with these, and as you can see, the blood vessels have all lifted away from the egg. And that is a I would say a pastel Enchi, another pastel Enchi. Can't see the head, can't tell you if it's scaleless or not. So my theory about my scaleless heads being het pied rely on this one here. Now this one's got a really funky looking head, and I'm guessing that this is a super pastel, and if you have a look at that up close, you can see that that's scaleless head straight away. So that could be a pastel Enchi, could be a super pastel Enchi, something like that. But I'm not really sure how much the camera can pick up. It is a 4K camera, but if you have a look on there, I can see without using my magnifying glass that this guy has got scaleless head. His nose is virtually bare, and there's a line of scales missing right in the middle of its nose. So let's carefully, it's another boob egg, but obviously a successful boob egg, this one. There we go, it's tucked its head in now, so I can safely open it up a little bit. That is not a pied. So there we go. I would say pastel Enchi or super pastel Enchi pied. Scaleless head, sorry. So I've missed, I've got pieds on the brain. I've either missed the odds on the pieds, or there's something other funky going on. I don't really know. And if you give me 2 seconds to wipe some of this goo off my hands, I will show you the girl that came out the other clutch. So this was from the same dad. So this is the girl. She came from the same dad. You can see she looks, the scales are messed up on her head, but she isn't actually scaleless head. It's definitely an Enchi, no doubt about that whatsoever. And it's definitely a pied. No doubt about that whatsoever. So not really, this clutch I thought would be conclusive to let me know what happened with this, but it doesn't appear to have done that. So we got mould on my fingers. I guess I'll have to wait till next year, because I will probably do the same breeding again. I didn't think this girl that I'm holding was scaleless head, but actually look at that head. The scales are very messed up on it. I might have to revisit that one. I'll have another good look at her. Beautiful animal. Fairly low white, which is typical of an Enchi pied. She doesn't really have much of a grey chin. Oh, she has got some grey under her chin, so you know, definitely a pied. So that literally came out of the same breeding, and in fact the two females are sisters. So I can't offer an explanation as to why I got a pied out, unless it's het pied. And on this clutch, you know, it's 5 eggs. I think, you know, het to het, 1 in 4 would have been pied, but you've only got to miss the odds by 1 either way, and you've missed it. But I tell you what, there are some absolute stonkers in there. The Enchi's been very dominant in this clutch. So there you go. Not what I was expecting or hoping for after seeing the first pied, but some amazing animals. And what I do is I'll let these guys come out the egg and shed off, and I'll do an update video. Okay, so here they are. This is the clutch from the Enchi Pastel Scaleless head to the Pastel pied. So this first one here is a pastel, just a pastel, I'd say, just a very pretty pastel, 100% het pied. It's not Scaleless head of it. She's got some interesting, or it's got some interesting configurations on the scales just here, but I've had a good look with a magnifying glass. I've got one here that does 45 times zoom, and I can't see any gaps in the scales. I think it's just a bit aberrant scales, and the cloaca is in one piece, and it's a little girl. So that's a nice pastel het pied. I'm going to put the lid on these things because they're quite feisty, so I don't want to bite me while I'm talking. So this one here is a normal 100% het pied. As you can see, there's no mistakes, the markings there. Again, it's got quite a messed up group of scales in the middle there, but I've had a good look with the microscope, with the magnifying glass, and there is no scaleless. It's not a scaleless head, so that's a male het pied. Quite chunky babies, these are really nice. So this one I don't think has shed yet, still a bit shiny, but the others are asking to be. Oh yeah, it hasn't shed. Look, it's still got grey eyes. So this is a, I'm going to say, pastel Enchi, 100% het pied. I had a good look at this one with a magnifying glass as well, although the pattern again is really messed up. There's a big ridge of really tiny scales across the middle there. There's no gaps in between them, so I don't think it's Scaleless head, and the cloaca is in one piece. So there we go, and that's a little boy as well. So to the last two. Ouch, pack that in. So these are, again, pastel Scaleless heads. I don't think either of these are super pastels, but they're not super pastels, but they're super bright. Look at the head on that. That's got the most amazing head. Lots and lots of scales missing there, as you can see. Really pretty animal, absolutely stunning. So that's a pastel Enchi, 100% het pied. So the difference between that one and the last one, with the Scaleless head on it, you can see how much brighter it makes it. Absolutely stunning animal. Look at the head. The head is just amazing on this. And I've already popped these two, so I'm pretty sure there's a pair. So yeah, that's a girl. So that one's going to be staying put. Absolutely beautiful. And then there's this one here, which must be the boy. I was wondering whether this one might be a super pastel. It's got a lot more blushing in the black, but I just think it's a really fine example of a pastel Enchi Scaleless head. Look at that head. Head is absolutely amazing. You can see there's a lot of scales missing there. There's no heat pits. And there is some debate as to whether my scaleless heads are micro scales. They get the messed up dorsal line. They get split cloacas, and they don't get any heat pits as a rule, as you can see. I bought my originals as scaleless heads, so you can't really, I doubt you'll be able to pick that up on the camera, but there's a split in the middle of that cloaca, and that's a boy. So ouch, pack it in, God almighty. I washed my hands before I started as well. So there we go, absolutely gorgeous Pastel Enchi scaleless head, 100% het pied. So didn't hit the pied. I don't know if it's an odds thing or not, or the other one was just a fluke. I have no idea. I'll put it next to the pied that came out of the other one, and you can see the difference. Ouch, pack it in. The difference, look at the difference in brightness. Obviously there's no pastel in this one, but look at that. You can see the Enchi head stamp on this one. It's bizarre. I don't know how I didn't hit a pied in that, you know, a het to a visual, but then I also done other het to visual clutches this year and not hit pieds. So it just depends on your luck on the day. I'm actually going to keep both of these girls and repeat the same breeding. Or it depends on how fast I can get this guy up to scratch. If I can get him up quicker, then I shall put him in. But we'll see how it goes in the next sort of year. So there we are, really nice. Didn't hit a pied, didn't hit a scaleless head pied, but you know, how could anybody be unhappy with an animal that's as bright as that? Ouch. Apart from the fact that it's vicious, as you can see. My hands will start swelling up in a minute because I'm quite allergic to these little buggers' bites. So there you go. So there you go. Didn't hit what I was expecting, but there are some amazing animals in that clutch. Some really awesome looking bright animals. No explanation as to why, other than the fact that I've probably just missed the odds. There can be no other explanation other than the fact that my scaleless heads are het pied to have produced that pied the first time. Those babies that obviously you just seen are 100% het pied anyway, because it's two pied. So nice powerful animals. You know, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of like super pastel Enchis and pastel Enchis scaleless heads in there. I think there's at least 3 scaleless heads out of the 5, so quite nice odds on the scaleless head part of it. But again, it's really hard to see what is a scaleless head and what isn't a scaleless head until they've shed off. And in fact, as you saw on the head of that Enchi pied, I'm fairly convinced it's not a scaleless head, but just with the extra little bit of light on it from the camera, I could see quite messed up head pattern on there. So who knows? I'll grow her on for a few. I'm not getting rid of her, so I won't be selling her. So I'll grow her on for a bit, and you know, sometimes when they get a bit more body mass on them, it's a lot easier to see if they're scaleless head or not. A couple of times I've almost sold stuff off that I didn't think was scaleless head, and subsequently have turned out that they are. So you know, it's can be a little bit tricky. So anyway, there we are. Another interesting clutch. Nothing mind-blowing, but some beautiful animals. I'm quite happy with it. I'd have preferred to have a scaleless head pied, but you know, c'est la vie. Some beauties in there. So please stay safe, you know, during this horrid time with COVID. Stay indoors if you can. Stay safe, and if you like my video, please press like. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you soon. What I'm going to do is take some lessons to try and learn to stop saying after every sentence. So take care.